Kal Kadosh, Boker Or, Masechet Menahot, Daf Kav Gimel Amud Aleph 23a1. Says the Gemara, we're by the two dots where it says Itmar. So we're 3 lines down. Itmar, it was stated, Kometz de Menichat Choteh Sheshimno. Right? What happens right now if you have a Kometz of Minchat Choteh and you put Shemen? Remember that the Minchat Choteh of a sinner, we don't put Shemen because we don't want Nimtza Choteh Niskar. So we don't want it to be Mehudar. We don't want it a good. So therefore, he sinned. We don't put it any Shemen. There's no oil. No, yeah, well, you made a mistake. You put the Shemen, you're not supposed to. So Rabbi Yochanan says, it's pasul. The Shakish comes and he says, Hu atzmo meshachshecho, right? Which means it's a mitzvah lechatchila to come and to mix the komets of the mincha choteh with the shiurei alug of the Shemen, umaleo, and then you bring it to the mizbeach. So kol shken, if they did it, right, b'diavad, it's going to be kosher. So says the Gemara, "V'aktiv lo yasim alei Hashem lo yiten levona." So what are you talking about? I thought it says in the Mefurash in the Torah that you're not supposed to put shemen and levona on a minchat choteh. It's written in Mefurash in the Bible. You know what the Bible is? The Bible says, "Chumash vayikra lo yasim alei levona lo yasim alei shemen lo yiten levona ki chatati." Right? It's a chatat. So says the Gemara, "Haru shelo yikbal Hashem kechavrotea." No. It's a din lechatchila. Meaning, before the kmitza, you're not supposed to come and put the shemen. But after the kmitza, it's kasher if you put a little bit of shemen. Big deal. What? For the chatat, for the minchat chatat. Yes.
A bit or a lot?
Yeah, you put a little bit, right? Anyway, it's a log of shemen. It's not a huge amount. You put a log, but the log is for the entire thing. Okay. Eight ve Rabbi Yochanan le Shakish. So ask Rabbi Yochanan to Shakish, right? He says like this: Charev shenitarev bebalul. When you have the charev, which is the mincha yevesha, that it does not have anything. It's not balul b'shemen. And it got mixed up with something which is balul b'shemen. Yakriv, you bring the entire tar of it. Rabbi Yehuda comes and he says, Lo yakriv, you shouldn't bring the entire tar of it. Says the Gemara, my level, we're not talking about that it's a comments of minchat choteh that got mixed up with the comments nedava. That means the minchat choteh is charev. Why is it charev? Because it's like there's no frankincense, there's no oil, it's dry, right? So and the minchat nedava is balul. Minchat nedava means it doesn't come for a sin. You just gave a present. So here I bring you minchat nedava. There you put shemen, you put the frankincense, you put everything. So it says Gemara, no, we're talking about minchat parim ve'elim, which are considered charev, that got mixed up with minchat kevasim, the nesachim. Okay, so therefore that's why that means it's basically the parim ve'elim that got mixed up, right, with the kevasim. What? Parim ve'elim. Because he said, we're not talking about a comments of the minchat choteh. We're talking about minchat nidava because the mincha of the parim and the lim, the parim ve'elim do not have any shemen. That's what it says, right? Basically, like charev, well, it's charev. It's like it's destroyed, but that's literally. But here it just means that it's dry. It's dry. So he says the minchat nesachim of the par has shlosha esronim solet and shisha logim of shemen. The minchat nesachim of the ayin has 2 esronim solet and only 4 lugim of shemen. So each one of them, they've got such a big proportion of the flour opposite to the thing, so therefore it's considered what? It's considered like dry, right? So it's considered charev. That's why. Yeah, thick. It's like thick. Okay? So says the Gemara, "Veha behedya ktani." It's written, "Mincha parim ve'elim, mincha kvasim, vecharev shenita rebel yikrav." You should bring it. Rabbi Yehuda says, "Lo yikrav." So if it's already written mefurash, so therefore, what are you talking about now? You know, like we're not talking about the regular charev shenitarev bebalul. So says the Gemara, "Pirush kemefarash." No, they're explaining it, meaning they're explaining that when I said charev shenitarev bebalul, I was explaining it's talking about the mincha parim ve'elim, mincha kvasim that got mixed up. That according to the Tanakama you're going to bring it, and according to Rabbi Yehuda you're not going to bring it, and that's what we're explaining. Meaning that even though we just brought down this case, we brought down later on the other case of charev shenitarev bebalul. So says the Gemara by Rava. Rava comes and he asks the following question: Kometz, right? Shemitza shamno al gabe etzim. When you have a kometz that they come and they're sochet the shemen on top of the etzim, right? Mahu. What is the halacha? Which means that they come and they put it on the etzim, and therefore it's like mechubar now to the shemen. What's the halacha now? So you had a kometz. You squeezed out all the oil, and it went onto the etzim. Now what happens is that afterwards you come and you put it on the etzim. So now technically it's connected to its oil. So what do you say? Do you say that it's ki'ilu, that it's still lacking oil because you took away the oil, or not? Chibure olin keolin dami. Do you say that it's mechubar and it's going up to the mizbeach, so it's considered connected, or lav keolin dami, or maybe it's not? So Amar le Ravina le Ravashi, Lav Hainu, that's not the same doubt of Rabbi Yochanan and Shakish. The Itman was stated, Hamale ever she'em bo kazait ve'etzem mashlimo lekazait. Imagine right now you took an ever outside, right, of the Bet HaMikdash. Now, this ever, this limb of the korban, does not have a kazait. Now, but there's an etzim. The etzim, which is the bone, is connecting and it's mashlim to the kazait. So Rabbi Yochanan says you're going to be chayav. Why? You took out an ever, you took out a kazait of the Bet HaMikdash. Resh Lakish, what? No, you took it out with the etzim outside. It's mashlim. זה מה שאומר, זה משלים כזית. So Rabbi Yochanan says you're going to be chayav because you took it outside of the kodshim, and Resh Lakish says you're going to be patur. Rabbi Yochanan comes and he says you're going to be chayav. Why? Chiburei olin keolin dami. Resh Lakish says you're going to be patur. Chiburei olin lav keolin dami. So therefore, if you're going to tell me that this is a safek, this is a machloket between Rabbi Yochanan and Resh Lakish. So says the Gemara, no. It's not the same machloket. Why? Tibayel Rabbi Yochanan v'tibayel Resh Lakish. I could learn both like Rabbi Yochanan, both like Resh Lakish. Tibayel Rabbi Yochanan, I could learn it like Rabbi Yochanan. Ad kan lo kama Rabbi Yochanan hatam ela be'etzim. Only by the bone, the mina de basaru, because the etzim is like the basar. Aval hacha, but here the comets, right? That you come, you squeeze out the oil and then you put it on top. It's not the same mean. Meaning, I've got the comets. I squeeze out the oil and then I take the comets and I put it on top of the wood where the oil was. It's not the same species. The oil was never intricate part of the mincha. I squeezed it out of it and I added it onto it at the beginning. The bone was an intricate part of the basar. Or Dilma, or maybe I could go according to Resh Lakish. Afilu according to Resh Lakish, lo ka'amar ele be'etzim, it's only on etzim, devar mefurash, right, mifrashu, because it's something which is going to ultimately be separated from the korban, meaning you take out the etzim and then you only bring the meat. Okay, v'i parish. So now he comes and he says like this: v'i parish lav mitzvat la'adure, right? And therefore, once you take it out, you don't put it back on. Aval shemen, you're not supposed to separate it. So lo. So maybe I'm going to say that there's no difference. So because of that, I cannot bring you a proof from Resh Lakish and Yochanan because I could go according to each one. Now we have a doubt. That means we don't have an answer whether it's going according to Resh Lakish or Yochanan.
Solids to liquid. It's difficult.
No. Mishnah on the bottom of Kav Gimel Amud Aleph. Shte menachot shelo nikmetzu v'nitarvot zo bezo. Imagine you have two menachot that they still didn't take off the comets. Okay, remember, you've got the mincha, you have to take off the comets. They still didn't take off the comets, and then they got mixed up. So yes, or even if two the same person, doesn't matter, right? Yes, the entire flowers got mixed up. If you could still do it, that each one is a kometz by itself, kesherot, it's going to be kosher. But if it all got mixed up together and you don't know what's what, psulot, it's going to be pasul. Kometz shenitarev b'mincha shelo nikmetza. What happens if you have a kometz that got mixed up with a mincha that still didn't take off the meaning like this? You come, you take, this is one mincha. I come and take off the comets. I'm walking around, whatever it is. There's another mincha over there. All of a sudden, what I have here gets mixed up with that mincha. So I've got the comets getting mixed up with that mincha that was still not taken off the kemitza. Lo yaktir. Do not bring it to the mizbeach. V'miktir, and if you are going to bring it to the mizbeach, zosh nikmetza ole lebalim. The one that did the kemitza already is going to be good for the baalim, but the one who was lo nikmetza was not good for the baalim. They weren't mitzvah chova. Okay. Third case. Nitarev the comets, right, b'shiarea, or b'shiarea shel chaverta. What happens if it was nitarev one comets, right, with its leftovers? Meaning, I have the mincha, I do the comets, walking around, and it got mixed up again back into the regular mincha, b'shiarea, right, or b'shiarea shel chaverta. Meaning, I did this one, put it aside. This one, somebody did the comets. He went to two of them were there, and then this comets got mixed up with this shiodea. But again, it's always leftovers, whether it's his own leftovers or the leftovers of another one. Lo yaktir, do not bring it. Ve'imiktir, but if you do bring it, ole lebaalim, it is going to be ole for the baalim. Says the Gemara. Amar Rav Chasta, says Rav Chasta, nevela betela bishchuta. Do you know that when you have a piece of a nevela that gets mixed up with two pieces of a shchuta, right? It's going to be batel. She'i efshar lishchuta shet'aseh kenevela, because you cannot make the davar mevatel, right, like the davar batel, which means that it's keilu considered min b'she'eno mino, and therefore it's going to be batel. V'shchuta ena betela benevela, but the shchuta is not going to be batel with the nevela. Shefshar nevela shet'aseh shchuta, but he says because it could be that the nevela, right, was going to be teora, like the basar shechuta, delechi masrecha, because when it's going to be mitkalkel, that it's not going to be fitting, parcha tumata, there's no tum'ah anima. anymore, which means that a nevela, it says that you have to give it to the ger and everything when it's still considered nevela. But if it completely dries up and everything, so therefore, so what he's trying to say is as follows, right? You've got basar shechuta, basar nevela. So he says the ta'arovet is considered min bemino, right? And therefore it's not going to be batel. When you have shchuta, is not going to be batel in the nevela. But if you have the nevela falling into the shchuta, it's a min b'she'eno mino. One more time, you've got a nevela. The nevela can never become kosher now because they already did the shechita. They killed it, whatever it is, without the shechita. So since it can never be done shechita to it, so the nevela that gets mixed up with the shchuta is considered min b'she'eno mino, right? It's not the same species. They're both meat. They're both cow's meat. Yeah, but the nevela can never become shchuta. But the shchuta that gets mixed up with the nevela, right? It is min b'mino. Why? Because the nevela could become like shchuta. How could the nevela here become the shchuta? He says because once it becomes dried out completely and it's like a parchatumata, so therefore that's why it's considered min, right? Min b'mino. So Rabbi Chanina says, כל שאפשר לו להיות כמוהו אינו בטל, וכל שאי אפשר להיות כמוהו בטל. He says exact opposite. He says anything which could be like it, right, is not going to be batel. But anything which can be like it, it is going to be batel. So according to Rabbi Chanina, right, the mi'ut could become like the rov, is all depends on can it be like it or not. The exact opposite of what we said before. Before we said that the nivela is going to be batel because it could she'iv shalish shchuta because the shchuta can never become a nivela, right? Because once you do the shchita, it cannot become a nivela anymore, right? It could become a trefa, but not a nivela. If you do shchita to an animal, can it ever become a nivela? No, it can become a trefa. That means, right? But never a nevela anymore. Once you do shchita, you do shchita, right? But according to this shita, it's the exact opposite. Kol she'efshar lo liot kamu is not batel. V'chol she'efshar lo liot kamu is going to be batel. So says the Gemara, aliba deman, who's it going like? If you're going to tell me it's going according to Shitat Chachamim, Ha'amri, they said, Olin hu lo mevatel adadi, that the Olin are not mevatel, av min memino is batel. And if you're going to tell me it's going according to Rabbi Yehuda, according to Rabbi Yehuda, Kav Gimel Amud 23b, Rabbi Yehuda batar chazita azil. He goes after the mar'eh, right? Which means, what does it look like? Ve'idi min miminohu. So the both of them is min mimino then. So I don't understand. Who's it going like? It's not going according to the rabbis, and it's not going according to the chachamim. So says the Gemara, Ela aliba de Rabbi Chia. It's going according to Rabbi Chia. The Tana Rabbi Chia, Rabbi Chia taught nevela u'shchuta betelot zo bezu, that it is going to be batel, right, from wind and shadow, which means Rav Chasta and Rav Chanina, they're arguing what is the pshat in the braita. According to Rav Chasta, the kavanah of the braita is that nevela is going to be batel in the shchuta, but not the shchuta in the nevela. But according to Rav Chanina, it's exact opposite. And the kavanah of the braita is that the shchuta betela nevela and not the nevela b'shchuta. So says the Gemara, and according to Rav Chia, who does he go like? Aliba deman. If he goes according to the rabbis, you already told me Olin hu delom vatel adadi, that if it goes up to the mizbeach, it is not mevatel one each other, right? And he says hamin b'mino, it is going to be batel. And if you're going according to Rabbi Yehuda, it's min b'mino. According to Rabbi Yehuda, min b'mino is not batel. Remember, shitat Rabbi Yehuda is when you have the same species, it's not going to be batel. Min b'mino lo batel. So says the Gemara, leolam aliba de Rabbi Yehuda. Really, we're going according to Rabbi Yehuda. When Rabbi Yehuda says mimi mino is not going to be batel, when it could be the same, it could be the exact same. But if it cannot be the exact same, it's going to be batel. And that is a machloket right now. Do we go after the mevatel or the one that's being batel? Meaning, here you've got shechuta and nevela. Okay, shechuta means they did shechita to the animal, kosher animal. Nevela means a non-kosher animal. One is annulling the other. So you've got the mivatel, and then you've got the one that is being batel. The annuller and the one being annulled. Okay, the one, meaning the majority. Whichever one's the majority, that's the annuller. The one that's being annulled is the minority. Okay, mivatel and the batel. There's a machloket now between Rav Chastan and Rav Chanina. What do you go by? Do you go after the mivatel, or do you go after the batel? Now, Rabbi Yehuda and Chachamim have another machloket. Rabbi Yehuda and Chachamim, Baba Haki, you're coming in and out a million times. What's going on over here? Right? Says the Gemara. Now we learned in the Mishnah, Shte menachot shelo nikmetzu v'nitarvu zu bezu. When you have two menachot that were no nikmitzu. They were not taking off the kmitza, and then they got mixed up with each other. If you could do the kmitza of each one on its own, it's going to be kosher. So says the Gemara, once you do the komets from one, the other one becomes leftovers, right? So therefore, what's going on then? So says the Gemara, Mani, who is it? Everyone understood? One more time. They got mixed up, so it's all in one pan. The second I take off a komets from this, everything here becomes shiraim. So how am I going to take off komets of the other one? So he says, Mani, who is this? Ida banan, if it's going to be the rabbis, how many they just said only nudulo mvatle adadi, they're not going to be mvatel each other. Hamin b'mino batel, but it's going to be mimino, it's going to be batel. Ela pshita, right? But rather it cannot be the chachamim, so it has to be like Rabbi Yehuda. Bishlam ala mandamar. I understand according to the mandamar that says batar batel azlinan, we go after batel. Batel avikum batel, so it's going to be batel. Telechika means midach, but when you do the kmitza to the other one, it's going to be the shiraim also. Ela al mandamar, but according to the mandamar that batar mevatel azlinan, that we go after the batel. Right? Shiraim mikam vatla tivla. It's not going to be tevel. Leima de lo Rabbi, so it's not like Rabbi. So answers Gemara hatam Rabbi Zira. There's like Rabbi Zira. Damar Rabbi Zira. Nemra ktara bekomets and ktara b'shiraim. It says ktara by both, also the komets and also the shiraim. Just like the ktara which is brought down by the komets and a komets mevatel et chavero, the komets cannot mevatel its friend. So to the ktara which is brought down by the shiraim is going to mevatel the komets. So Tashema, we're going to try to bring a proof now. Because again, remember, we're trying to find out, do we go after the batel or the batel, right? Which is going to be Rav Chia or Rabbi Chanina or Rav Chasta. So Tashema, we're going to try to bring a proof. A komet shenitarev mincha. When you have a komet which is going to be mitarev with a mincha, lo nikmetza velo yaktir v'miktir zo shenikmetza al talabalim. We said that if you have a komet that gets mixed up with a mincha which was not taken off kmitza, you shouldn't bring it. And if you do bring it, zu shenikmetza is going to be al talabalim. Zu shelo nikmetza is not going to be al talabalim. So he says, lo kam vatel lativla lekomets. Mani, who is that? Ida banan, if it's the rabbis, ha'amre olinu delom vatel adadi, it's going to be vatel. Hamim mino batel, it's going to be batel. Ela pshita, but rather it's going to be like Rabbi Yehuda. Bishaman lemanda amar batel mevatel azrinan. I understand that we're going after the vatel, which is like Rav Chasta. So mevatel avik batel. So therefore you're able to do that. The whole purta da chazi lekmi kamatzmina, but every single part is still ra'ui for kmitza. Vehavelen, it's considered mimimino. Umimimino lo batel. Ela lemanda amar batel batel bazin. But if you're going to go according to Chanina, komets mika havitivla. He says, can the komets become the tevel again? For sure not. Lema de lo Rabbi Chia, but again, it's going to be against Rabbi Chia. Okay, so he says, Hanami Rabbi Zira. Again, it's the same answer like Rabbi Zira, so you can bring a proof. Tashema, we're going to try to bring now another proof, right? Nitarev kumtza b'shiraim shel chaverta. If you're going to have the komets that gets mixed up with the shiraim of another mincha, that they did take off a komets already. Lo yaktir v'miktir al talabalim ve'ahacha here. We don't say that Mvatel, which is a Shiraim, could become like the komets. Lo Mvatel Mvatel. Lo Mvatel Lishaim la komets. Mani, who is that? That's Ira Banan, and then you go back to Rabbi Yehuda. So Amar Rabbi Zera says Rabbi Zera Namrak Tara b'komets and Namrak Tara b'Shiraim, just like the Tara which is brought down by the komets and komets Mvatel et Chavero. So to the Tara by the Shiraim also and Shiraim Mvatel et Chavero. Another proof. Again, we're just bringing proofs back and forth to the same shita. So he says Tashema Tibla, which means when you have, right, beketzech, right? We're talking about right now lisat pesach in ketzach. So he says over here like this, shumar. It says it's a min zraim. B'shum shem michol minei tavlin. Keshera, it's going to be kosher to eat the matzot for achilat matzah. Matzahi. Ela shenikre matzah metubelet, but it's called a matzah with tavlinim. So kalsa kadai, I would have thought to say the apish tavlin tfei matzah. There's more tavlinim in the matzah. So bishman amar batel as in we're going up to the batel. So batel v'kumutal. Telchi ibsha v'kel tavlin. Why? Because when it's going to be mitapesh, it becomes like a tavlin, right? And therefore you're not going to be tzedek chovah. But according to the mandamar batel azinan, tavlin mihavu, the tavlin cannot become a matzah. You have to eat matzah. You can't eat tavlinim. So says the Gemara Chamaiskin, the lo apish tavlin. There's not that much tavlinim. Teruba matzahi, so the majority is still matzah, and therefore it's not going to be batel. That's why it's called matzahi, but it's just called matzah metubelet, shema mina. So that's a proof. So you can bring a proof from here. Okay, fine. Now we're going to go back to the Mishnah, and this is where we're going to stop, because it's going to talk about a new concept, right? That we're going to speak about the Isaron.